Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the PLA podcast. I have an incredible guest here that I'm so excited to interview and look forward to having this incredible conversation. Srini, welcome to the PLA podcast.
Thank you, Dunia. It was my pleasure to be on the podcast with you.
Well, I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'd love to formally introduce you to our audience that hasn't had the privilege that we've had at PLA of getting to know you and your story and your background and your incredible experience before we dive into this juicy conversation around your work and everything you've been through. So, welcome, Srini Rao, to the PLA podcast. He grew up in Mangalore, India, rooted in humble beginnings and strong values. He began his professional journey in Bangalore's tech ecosystem before moving to the United States 15 years ago. He brings a truly global perspective that's shaped by culture, migration, and adaptation. Over 20 plus years in technology leadership across multiple industries, he started as a mainframe developer and continuously evolved alongside changing technologies. With a deep expertise across the entire software development lifecycle, currently in a leadership role at one of the world's top four consulting firms, known for bridging business strategies and technology execution, excels at aligning technical teams and business stakeholders towards shared outcomes. He advocates for empathetic, transparent leadership, especially in the age of AI transformation. He lives in Stanford, Florida, with his wife and two children and enjoys tennis, hiking, and family time as always. Passionate about community service and giving back, driven by the belief that leadership is ultimately about impact and uplifting others. Srini, welcome to the PLA podcast.
Thank you, Dunia. Thank you for the great introduction. I'm looking forward to this great conversation.
Absolutely. I want to know a little bit of. I'm going to throw in a question that I don't usually start the podcast with, but I know you're a family man, you're an outdoorsy person, you love these activities. How has it been balancing fatherhood and in a very demanding corporate career that has gone through so many evolutions and so much change and so many major projects that had a lot at risk, really?
Oh, it's I think, a great question for any family person. And mostly you may expect the same answer from everyone because I think juggling between the family, taking care of the family, and making sure that you work and you deliver with the highest priority is very challenging, especially when you have a younger kids. You have to make sure that what is important, what is priority, and you have to spend time, and work demands long hours sometimes, and you have to make sure that you have to balance it. So yeah, it is really hard. I think finally what matters is how you prioritize. So initial days, I think when you bring up your career, sometimes you prioritize more about the work. That never changes. But when the family comes, I think that is the one that we have to give importance, which I'm trying to do on a daily basis. But it is still hard. I think it is between um, juggling between the uh, very important part of our life, at the
Yeah.
same time making sure that you have the same impact in your professional life.
Absolutely. What I love about your share, Srini, is this piece around it is still hard. Even though we take the time to be intentional and balance it all, there's actually nothing wrong with it being hard. Being hard and that challenge is part of the process. And what I love about it is it actually makes me reflect on so many shares of so many parents out there that are balancing demanding careers. And oftentimes they think, am I the only one that's finding this very difficult? And is it because I'm doing this wrong? But even when we are doing it right and we are truly trying to balance both, we may still find it hard, and that is okay. And that is part of the process. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think everybody may narrate differently, but I think that is what everybody is doing. Balancing between the two and making sure that you give equal importance to work as well as family.
Absolutely, because in some ways it's like this ecosystem, right? When you feel supported at home and things are taken care of at home, you can go to work with a clear head and a clear mind. Then once things are taken care of at work, you can come home and relax and really ease into what's happening at home.
Oh, from that point of view, I'm blessed to have my family who understands, especially my wife is a great support. Without her support, I'm not able to even work. And even I extend, as I said, I think you narrated my community service. When I'm involved in outside the work and still I'm doing something for the community, you need family support, understanding family support, which I have. I'm really fortunate to have that. Even my kids understands from that perspective.
And that's amazing. I think that that's actually where I want to go to next in this conversation is it's so beautiful that you have now gone to a place in your career, and I'm sure that that must have been something very close to your heart throughout your entire journey of being able to give back, but getting to a place in your career where you can and have your kids witness you in being able to balance career and giving back. I'd love to know, where did this original love for giving to the community start for you?
Giving back to the community is something that it is always. I have seen my mom, my mother. She's a she was a school teacher and later principal for almost. Her career was more than 3 decades, and the best thing is school activities and community she has done throughout her career. So I have seen something as I was growing. So that came naturally to me. That is one thing. And second thing is when I relocated to US and the way we work here and how we interact with our community outside the work, the one thing what I noticed is there are some extraordinary leaders who are ready to work for the community, who are making a major impact. And the first few years of my life here in US, I was noticing how they spend time and giving back to the community is helping not only me to all the families. So it is just to add what others are doing. I'm trying my 2 cents to contribute back to the community, and the feeling that you get when you do that, you cannot compare it. You feel that great, and while doing that, you are also setting an example to your younger kids. So I look forward for this kind of activities even in future. I'll try my best to balance between the two, and I'll try to do that.
Oh, and what I love is like you had noticed people having tremendous amount of impact in the community, which inspired you to also get even more
Yes.
involved. And
Yes.
what's powerful is like you actually may be that person for someone else. So it's this encouragement to all of those that feel the calling to give back and to step in to do so, because little do they know, not only are they contributing their work, their expertise, their time, and what they're bringing to the table, but also possibly a sense of inspiration for someone else to do the same. And so it becomes like this ripple effect of change. And that's what I love about your share is it's actually not about just the time and effort that you're giving, but it's also what it may inspire in someone else.
Yes, absolutely. That is one of the important part, one of the important factor that you do what you can do, but while doing that, you leave an example and make an impact on others. So it is all about giving back to the community, not only by your service, even leading by an example, so that even others follow the same footsteps.
Incredible. Incredible. And I know we talked about back all the way back when. So I would love to ask you this question. At the very beginning of your career, you came with a fresh pair of eyes, very little experience. And now, after all these years, all these experiences in your career, this growth, this wisdom, even these challenges, what is something you wish someone had told you at the very beginning, knowing everything that you know now?
Wow, it's a great question. It is basically retrospecting that what I would have done better to shape my career. So one thing I think my based on my journey, and I always wanted to prioritize communication. communication, which is so important, the capability to narrate a story, that is very important. I think in your when you start your career, you have to make sure that you give that importance to the building the communication. So that is one thing, and second thing is never hesitate to come out of a comfort zone.
Mm.
What that means is that as you shape your career, you focus on learning what is important on your work. And being an IT background, the primary thing everybody is trying to learn something new, technology, adapting something new, coding skills. But no, they try to prioritize it only within their comfort zones. Not very much. A lot of people, they hardly come out and try something new. So I think I would try to prioritize communication, and and you have to come out of your comfort zone to achieve much bigger in your career.
I love that. I love that the way you put it, narrating a story. And it's such an eloquent way of putting this piece around communication, because oftentimes when we're selling a project, or we're telling, or we're inspiring the next, set of leaders in our organization, yeah, we are narrating a story, and stories inspire. They tell a story, they invite people into a world, into a train of thought, a way to understand why we're doing what we're doing. And so the power, and I love that, it's not just communication, the way you put it, narrating a story. I think there's something, and it's a skill that some people believe that we're either born with or we're not, but it's actually a skill that can be developed if we actually take the time to learn it and put it into practice. So I love that you brought that up, and the way you brought that up. And then the piece around hesitation, never hesitate. Like, I love that you brought this piece around standing out of the comfort zone, but even brought this piece around hesitation, because so many of us can relate to the experience of hesitation. We're standing there, we know exactly what we need to be doing next, but it's like we're waiting for that perfect time. We're waiting for the comfort zone. We're waiting for the perfect tools, for the light bolt of lightning to come in with clarity before we make that move. And what's empowering and important in what you've shared is, not only are we invited to step out of our comfort zone, but is to actually do it quickly rather than stay paralyzed in hesitation for longer periods of time.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So that is very important, as you mentioned, that you have to be prepared to. I think the success is always outside your comfort zone. So I think the moment you are relaxed, and you have to remember that you have to step up and try something new. So which I think I learned last few years, that coming out of comfort zone is where your growth is. So I'm determined to work towards that. But as you said, for any younger ones who are starting their career, that is what I'm going to advise.
Absolutely. Srini, I'm curious to know, what is one project or situation or opportunity that you felt, wow, I'm so grateful I stood out of my comfort zone because I saw just such a return on investment from doing so? I'd be curious to know.
See, I started. I my first half of my career, or maybe more than that, I was in most of the projects are on the same type of projects. So being in that project and expanding my career was greatest experience, because I was able to progress. I was able to climb up my initial days of my career, and I was able to see the progress. But that did not give me a much bigger opportunity when I want to switch and change my uh, company, or looking for a better opportunity. But my initial days of my career, I was able to do a great progress, great advancement within my comfort zone. That is where the problem is. Like, I was able to do achieve something great, within the comfort zone. I think I was, even later part of my time, I was trying to stick myself to stay within that zone and trying to find, hey, uh, the the success. So which was hardly coming in.
Yes. I think you touch on such an important point where it's the downside of achieving success and milestones and accomplishments within our comfort zone early in our career and the price we have to pay down the road. And a lot of people don't talk about this. I think part of it is because we oftentimes associate early career not with success and accomplishments, and we forget that that can actually be a paralyzing factor for what happens further down, which, oftentimes the rewards down the road are happen because we had to step out of our comfort zone so much. So when we do accomplish so much within our the parameters of our comfort zone, we end up paying the price for it in the long run.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think sometimes it is really bigger price that you pay when you sit back and think. So I think the moment you realize it is action is what important, and the knowing and not doing is something, is not knowing. So it is better that you take some action and try to do, which is important for your career.
Yeah, which totally touches on your piece around hesitation. Don't
Yes.
hesitate, right? It's like this piece of like so many of us know we may not know the entire path to get to where we want to get, but we know exactly what the next move is usually. Even if we're faced with a major decision, there's a oftentimes this one move right in front of us that we're quite clear on. And the more we hesitate on that, the more we delay this process and all of this unfolding, all of this, all these incredible things that can happen simply because we're hesitating to take that very first step. Yeah, there's definitely something there. I'd love to know another question that I love asking on the PLA podcast is, this piece around challenges. So many times we think about the accomplishments, the accolades, everything that we've gained, but we don't oftentimes think about the biggest challenges of our career and how we ended up growing from them. So they may be similar to what you would suggest from your early career, but I'd love to know if there are any more of them.
So the one of the suggestions which I asked, which I said earlier, I wanted to give my younger one is about the communication, narrating the story. So that was the major challenge in my career. Technology is something that I was able to learn and adapt, even though sometimes it is slower, but I was able to learn and pick up and able to deliver or anything new that is coming on my way. And the commitment and the respect that I get what I'm doing is all absolutely great. Um, my technical capabilities and my presence in the project gives a lot of confident confidence to my leadership. Having said that, when I reach out to the leadership for my leadership roles, when I want to move up in my career ladder, I always had challenges on getting that promotion or needed recognition, just because I was not able to articulate very well, is what I'm thinking now. And also that actually reduced my visibility presence, because even though you are on the field doing all the critical work, but you are not able to communicate or narrate a story to the leadership the
Mm,
way they want to hear. The important thing is you have to be in their shoes and understand what they're looking for. So
yeah.
narrating as you think, it is not important. How others want to hear is very important part, which I think
Wow.
sometimes a lot of people they never think of. Even I learned it recently, and it is the process which I'm trying to do now, to build that muscle to my communication skills.
Wow. I think this is super specific and helpful. Not only was communication key, but and so interesting. And I hope everyone that's listening is taking notes on this. not only is learning to narrate and communicate the value you're bringing or what you're trying to create or what you're running into or what you might need in terms of in a project, an organization, or a situation, but more importantly, in this case, the way we're framing it is to get really clear on who we're speaking to and
Yes.
how we're speaking to them so they can understand. And oftentimes, most people don't even come across that thought or come across that consideration and probably miss all kinds of opportunities. And not just that, they probably run into a lot of situation issues or frustrations with their teams because they're communicating to them from their perspective, their language, their understanding of things versus communicating it in a way that speaks to how they see it, what they need to understand of it, and what would be of value for them to know moving forward, not just for us to be aware of.
Yes, absolutely. That is the
Wow.
key important thing about the communication, especially in your work environment. You have to understand what is expected and make sure that you meet that expectation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good point. And I'm sure it's been at the source of so many issues in interpersonal communications in
Yes.
organizations that people are just not thinking, wait a minute, who am I communicating to? And how am I communicating for this person to truly understand what I'm saying? Wow, this is so good already. It's unbelievable. I mean, speaking of communication, but also change, well, the world is changing in the way we communicate to one another, but more than anything, how we work in our day to day. Even with this, now AI being used by the masses, changing technology and the industry. Not only has it been around for so long, but now it's really disrupting the market and in a great way and in a challenging way. I'd love to get your perspective on what you think is happening with AI and how it's going from your lens, from your point of view.
Wow. So AI is the new buzzword. I think without talking about AI, we cannot complete our podcast for sure. So AI is one of the, I think I've seen it throughout my career for which is more than almost 20 years of my career. I've seen a lot of changes, new technologies. I change my technology. This is one of the major paradigm shift in how we think. And then one of the important factor for people like me who already in their career for such a long time, and adapting something such a big thing is not easy because it is changing how you think, how you work on a daily basis. But the important thing which everybody has to do on a daily basis is learning how to learn, which is important earlier, even now. As long as you are going along with the AI, Gen AI, adapting, learning, and making sure you're able to um, learn and use on a daily basis, it is one of the greatest gift that you can have.
Mm.
At the same time, there are people are worried about that rapid change that AI is bringing. But the major problem is they are not able to spend time and think how I can adapt, learn. It is not easy for everyone because you have one way of learning things, and suddenly you see that the AI and what is bringing, and the new generation of people, maybe it is easy for them to pick up because it's something new. They know how to adapt quickly. So it's a challenge, but I think this is the time we have to sit back,
Mm.
pause, and see how we can slowly adapt
Yeah.
and learn and start using them. And the impact that is bringing AI is so massive that if you're not part of it, definitely you're not going to you're not going to be in the industry for long.
Absolutely. Srini, what I love is so many people have been talking about changing the way they work, but no
Yes.
one's actually talked about changing the way we think. Because with this new added tool, we actually have to change the way we approach our work. So many of us, I'm realizing even in past conversations and a past way of thinking of AI, I would oftentimes see, well, how can I work with it rather than how can I think differently to get it to work for me? And I just like, it's interesting. It's making me realize that there's actually a step before actually contemplating how to work with AI that I haven't been considering enough. And I'm like, wow, it is true. We do need to change the way we think if we're going to utilize this tool to the max of its capacity at this stage. And you're right, this next generation is going to be born into the era of AI,
Yes,
and
yes,
it's going to be this invitation to how do we, as people that are a little further along in their careers, translate and share our wisdom of everything that we've learned from the industry that is in some ways going to continue to repeat itself in certain cycles while adapting to this brand new tool that's disrupting the way that cycle actually plays out slightly. And how can we guide this next generation that's going to be very, very versed in a tool that we didn't grow up with, but we're learning with time. So yeah, I love this perspective of it's going to require quite a bit of change in the way we actually mentor this next
yes,
generation of leaders, really.
absolutely. I want to add one more point.
Of course.
Learning AI, adapting is very important. We cannot deny. But the most important thing is whoever who had such a large, more number of experiences, making sure that you are able to use that experience, show your leadership skills. So the important thing is being human in this loop as as a one of the leader. That is very important because everything AI, but being present and polishing your communication skills and narrating the story skills, that will definitely going to be a plus point when you try to move forward. So I think this is the time we have to make sure that focus on that and make sure that you improve.
Oh, I love this. Yeah, absolutely. Being human in the age of AI is more important than ever. And you're right. We're going to be working, even though so many people are worried about losing their jobs, and so much of it is going to be delegated to AI and these incredible tools. The reality is humans aren't going anywhere. So if we can't allow ourselves to master these relationships, we're actually not going to, there is no greater tomorrow. The invitation is how can we lean deeper in these relationships, connecting with people, being great mentors, being great leaders, learning even from this next generation or past generations that have even more experience, and creating these great strong relationships that are going to be more adaptable to the times versus just pure chaos to a certain extent. Like, we are stronger together, really, and not forgetting the human aspect of these relationships,
Yes,
even with this incredible tool that has us in some ways just advancing so rapidly through technology.
absolutely, absolutely. I think technology was never same. It was changing. I think this massive change, adaptation is what everybody is concerned about. So we have to step up and make sure that we start using it.
Totally, totally. My favorite question to ask on the PLA podcast, of course, is what is the legacy and impact you're still looking forward to leaving behind in this world?
Legacy. So the important thing, I want to make sure that, as I said, one of the major or critical thing which I'm focusing on is AI adoption. AI adoption is something which is primary focus.
Mm,
Second main important thing in my list is communication,
mm,
and I want to make sure that I want to reach an extent where I am able to influence, impact people. So I have to improve to an extent where I should be able to impact and influence the new generation and especially the family. Because when you want to be a role model, communication or the art of narrating the story becomes so important. So I definitely want to leave that legacy than only the AI and other things.
Beautiful. Yeah, and bridging both of those together, like using AI as this tool for change while being able to narrate the story of what we're doing with this incredible tool and how we can create continuous impact. And you're someone that is so dedicated to impact already in your life through your work in the community. So I'm excited to see what you're going to continue to create and can't wait to support it in all the ways that we can at PLA. And of course, my last question is, what originally drew you to a community like PLA?
So PLA is the major. I joined PLA few months back in mid June, sorry, mid 2025, and the impact is. Let me put it this way. You know, you have to do this certain way of execution, but you never able to do it. I think the PLA is making me to in the execution mode rather than knowing and not doing is what I'm in the mode. So PLA is a great place where I'm getting that proximity as well as the push, very much push needed to develop that strong habit which I can help and grow.
Oh, it's beautiful, Srini. And so many of us know better. Like we know better. We know what we should be doing. We could be learning. And so many of us are not putting in the actions necessary to be able to get the results that we want. And so absolutely, I love that piece around PLA too of, it's very, very, very proactive in taking action and accountability and proximity to create the momentum necessary in our life to get us started and then creates this amazing momentum that builds on itself rather than being paralyzed into overthinking, into hesitation, and never taking action.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think. I mean, here I think one of the the best quote which I like from Venkat and Vamshi is that do it imperfectly. Don't wait for the right moment. I think that is where the growth starts, and that encouragement and the PLA family gives that space to do that imperfectly matters a lot. And I that is one of the key factor that is I'm enjoying as well as growing. I'm
Oh,
really grateful for that.
absolutely. I can even hear it in Venkat's voice. Do it imperfectly. He says it so often. And it's true. So many of us wait for that perfect moment, for a perfect action, for a perfect outcome, and never take action, not realizing that it's imperfect action that leads to perfection eventually down the road and leads to very high performance. So for anyone who's tuning into this episode for the very first time and has never heard of PLA, welcome to the PLA podcast to start. But also we host these incredible free trainings continuously, these workshops. I've gone more times than I can count. And so many of our PLA members have gone. And I always tell everyone, please go. And even if you never hear of PLA again, you will be blown away by the value you will get within those days. And I hope that everyone in their lifetime at least gets to attend one of these free trainings at least once, even if you never hear of PLA again. Like I said, you can find all the information to the next one on the QR code over here. And it's incredible. You'll even see results and tools implemented within the time frame of the actual workshop, which is such a gift, truly. So I just wanted to put that out there for anyone who is curious and just wanted a little bit more information about where to find that. Srini, thank you so much for your time and just being an incredible guest. Looking forward to having you on once again, the PLA podcast again shortly, of course. But thank you truly.
Sure, Dunya. Thank you so much. Thank you for this great podcast and the conversation. I think you are one of the inspiration. I can see that how you able to live, be in the present moment, and connect all the conversations is amazing. So it is one of the role model in PLA, which I want to learn and grow. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Srini. It's so I receive the compliment so deeply and I really appreciate it. And people like you that take an opportunity like PLA, run with it and really implement the work are the ones that get incredible results. And it's a privilege to get to serve people like you.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Dunya.
Such a pleasure. And thank you to everyone that tuned into today's episode. And we'll catch you all on the next PLA podcast episode. Have a beautiful evening.
You too. Thanks.